Hi there, my name is Lynn Tucker, and I'm a cisgendered white settler, and I'm speaking to you from Williams Treaty Territory, the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. Today, this place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. As I speak today, 160 unmarked graves were discovered near the former site of Cooper Island Residential School on Penellicut Island, adding to a total that will continue to rise as investigations take place. The history of genocide in this country is an atrocity that Indigenous communities have long known. I recognize the pain these findings have had and will continue to have as the truth reveals itself. We must acknowledge these truths as the part of ongoing work and commitment to addressing all Truth and Reconciliation report calls to action. And I'm committed to listening and learning and taking action as we move forward. To offer your support, please reach out to organizations across the country that are working to help survivors, families, and communities. Indian Residential School Survivors Society, Legacy of Hope Foundation, Orange Shirt Society, True North Aid, First Nations Child and Family Caring Society, and Reconciliation Canada. Hi there, and welcome. It's so great to be here to share with you a bit about my journey with the happiest little instrument in the world, the ukulele. A huge thank you to our friend Trisha Howe at Long McQuaid for the invitation. During our time together, I'll share a bit about my own experience getting started with ukulele and some of the ways I've integrated it into our program and our campus community. Then we'll explore resources you might consider should you be looking to get started or maybe dig a little bit deeper with your own already started ukulele interests. I will say from the outset that this is not in any way meant to be a complete, all-encompassing guide, but more of what I hope is the start of a conversation as I'm learning too. Please consider this an invitation to reach out and get in touch with any questions you might have, to share your own stories, and or to offer additional resources you found along the way on your own path. Okay, let's get started. At present, I'm a professor at the University of Toronto Scarborough, or UTSC for short, and my musical training is primarily rooted in Western art music. Flute is my principal instrument. I have some background with piano, and part of my current time is spent conducting the UTSC concert band, coaching small mixed ensembles, and teaching foundations in musicianship and community music courses. The music and culture program that I teach in has 3 areas of focus from which students can choose, and one of them is community music. It was here exploring, studying, and reading about community music as we prepared and built out the curriculum that the ukulele started to pique my interest. So one year I asked Santa for a ukulele, and lo and behold, I was gifted my first one. It's a beautiful Kala Hawaiian koa tenor. And when I got it, I was crazy busy with work and kind of sat in its case for a little while. But then one night, I was really tired and stressed and, not feeling so great. And I just picked it up and did a search online for easy ukulele play-along tunes on YouTube, as friends of mine who'd already been playing the ukulele for a little while had suggested. And an entirely new universe opened up to me. I didn't have any experience playing a stringed instrument of this kind. I had to learn a few chords and had to learn how to read tab. And that's how most of these songs were presented. So C, A minor, F, and G chords became my new best friends as I attempted Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a cover by famous Hawaiian ukulele player Israel Kamakavewa Ole. I sat there transfixed for hours, just trying the chords, things not working. It didn't matter. I was just having such a great time. And I don't really consider myself to be a singer, but there I was singing along, trying to anticipate the chords as they were coming and coordinating that with some kind of strumming. And I was hooked. It didn't take long for the wheels to start then turning in my head. I had to find ways to share this with others in my campus community. So I applied for a couple internal grants. One was an equipment grant, and the other was a Healthy Campus grant. And I was successful, and those provided me with enough money to buy a mixed class set of 40 ukuleles. These instruments are available for use and short-term loan by any member of the campus community. And with the ukes ready to go, I was able to create and launch a brand new group that we called This Ukes for You, TSC. It was established fall 2018 as a free, open, and accessible ukulele drop-in session for all members of the campus community. It acts as a place to de-stress, relax, socialize, and make music in an interactive, intergenerational setting. No experience necessary, instruments provided, and fun guaranteed. The group is co-curricular, extracurricular in nature as an informal music performance setting outside of course activity. However, students taking courses explore facilitated learning and teaching and leadership roles to create positive music experiences for others. This Ukes for You, TSC, provides a platform to activate musical opportunities and develop skills they can bring to their own communities. It also provides a social outlet for students, staff, and faculty to step away from their work. After 1 hour of ukulele and camaraderie, they leave less stressed and much happier than when they came in through the door. One staff participant notes the sessions are, quote, the highlight of my week, end quote. Instruments and music are provided to eliminate financial barriers, and no previous music experience is required. Accommodations are made to ensure safe and open participation by all. From work-life balance to music in the brain to recreation and leisure, this Ukes for UTSC is a site of practice-based activity and research opportunity. It is rooted in community development where students, staff, and faculty learn and enjoy time together through musical engagement. Before the pandemic, we were averaging 20 to 30 players each week. And with a brief transition period, fortunately, I was able to keep the group going, albeit much smaller, throughout the entire pandemic, and we still continue to meet online each week through the summer months. So it is a year-round music-making group. It's a real pleasure to meet and make music with colleagues, students, and alumni. And a little later on, I'll tell you about what I hope for our next steps and what those might look like. But right now, I'll take you through some of the resources and gems I found along the way that have informed my own interest and engagement with the ukulele. One of the first things that comes to mind when thinking about buying a ukulele is what kind. And in this case, I'm talking about the size. So there are different sizes of ukuleles, and there are also different shapes of ukuleles. But generally speaking, we're talking about a soprano, which is the smallest of the group and perhaps the instrument that we think about most often in terms of the sound that we anticipate coming from ukulele. The concert, which is just a little bit bigger, about an inch longer than the soprano, and the tenor, which is larger yet again, and a little bit more resonant because the body of the instrument is bigger. And these three typically follow the G-C-E-A tuning system. An instrument that's a little bit bigger is the baritone ukulele, and it does follow a different tuning system, D-G-B-E, basically the same as the top four strings of a guitar's standard tuning. And finally, an instrument that is part of the family but looks and sounds quite different, and that's the U bass. And it's like a smaller version of an electric bass. And in this case, it has polyurethane strings. It's pretty cool. Once you've figured out what size you're looking for, then it's a matter of, well, what kind of brand? And there are many, many different brands of ukulele. My first instrument, as I'd mentioned before, was a tenor made of Hawaiian koa. And here it is. It's a beautiful instrument. I'm quite smitten with it. And because I enjoyed it so much and I was so happy with how it sounded, how it responded, all of these things, I stuck with Kala. So Kala is a brand that I have continued to purchase, and it is the brand that I stuck with for the class set that I have at the university. In addition to my tenor, I also have a novelty instrument that is a kiwi. I mean, who wouldn't smile taking a look at this cute thing? And it is a pineapple shape, not the standard shape that you would see with many other ukes. And I often bring this into spaces just to bring some cheer, and it's fun to play. They do have other varieties of fruit, so to speak. The series that I have with the kiwi, they also have pineapple and watermelon, but that series has been discontinued, so you might be able to find them and source them in different stores, but perhaps not for much longer. But they do have a new line coming out that includes an updated version of the watermelon, as well as orange, and one called guacalele, which is an avocado. So it's a lot of fun. Another line is the Macala, which here's my Macala shark. They have sharks and dolphins. This one is made of a blend of composite wood and plastic. So this one I'm happy to take outdoors, play in parks, hand over to anybody to play and feel comfortable that if it is in a bit of a rough situation, that it will be able to handle it. And Kala also has some starter kits and bundles that are worth looking at. And I believe they include, obviously, the ukulele itself, but also a travel case and a tuner. But there are so many other brands as well, and the people that come into my ukulele sessions, they are all playing different kinds of instruments, and they're all happy as clams. So some others to consider or to investigate in your exploration here are Leho, Beaver Creek, Denver, Mahalo, Epiphone, Gretsch, Ibanez, Cordoba, Fender. The Fender ukulele is pretty cool. The headstock actually looks quite similar to their electric guitars, where they have the pegs in line instead of two on each side. Lohanu, which is a Canadian brand. Gold Tone, they've got some really cool banjo-style ukuleles. Magic Fluke, super cool shapes, really interesting shapes and designs. Martin, if you're looking for something a little bit more advanced, and Seagull, which is also a Canadian brand. And finally, to wrap this bit up, there are do-it-yourself ukulele kits, which could make for a really great experiential activity with students and or family and friends. When I first started exploring the ukulele, I was thinking of it as an acoustic instrument, but there are amplified options. I had already mentioned the U-bass, and that can certainly be plugged in and amplified, but you can also get a standard looking ukulele that has a pickup and a built-in tuner. And so if you want to get your sound out there a little bit more. Picking up an amplified uke could be a great solution for that. It plays just as well as an acoustic, just with the bonus options. And of course, there are a whole suite of accessories that you can add to your ukulele collection. And this includes straps. There are two kinds of straps that I've seen. One is the one that connects to an end pin at the end of the instrument, but not all ukuleles come with an end pin. So you can actually get a wraparound, which actually comes under the back, under the bottom, and then sort of loops into the tone hole in the front of the body. There are capos for ukuleles. There are an assortment of tuners. You can get clip-on tuners like Snark, KLIQ, Uber Tuner. There are free apps that you can also get. Guitar Tuna, INS Tuner are examples of those. And you can also find tuners on websites, for example, uke-tuner.com and UkeBuddy. In terms of cases, some ukuleles do come with a soft case. Many don't come with a case at all. So it depends on how you're going to be traveling and where the ukuleles are going to live. But there are both soft and hard case options available. There are picks if you want to move in that direction. Humidifiers for the wooden instruments. Instrument stands. There are both floor and wall mount options. And there are also stationary and mobile carts. So if you're in a classroom thinking about what space you have, where the instruments might get stored, whether you want portability between classrooms or potential performance spaces, if you'd like to have the collection on display, there are options that will suit all of these needs. And of course, strings. I think it's always handy to have a couple extra strings just in case. But with the ukes that I have and I've had for a couple of years now, everything has kept really well. I might be coming up due to making a few changes, but they've all held well together. So D'Addario, GHS, Aquila Corday, Ernie Ball, there are a number of ukulele string options and available. So moving on to print resources. While it is beyond the scope of this particular presentation for real in-depth discussion, I think it's important when considering repertoire selections to do so using an equity, diversity, inclusion, accessibility lens, or EDIA. There are a number of resources available, including articles, databases, websites, and social media groups and organizations that provide living lists of repertoire to be reconsidered and or removed, and spaces to listen to and consult with professional colleagues who may be well-versed in these areas and or are also exploring and learning to create brave classroom rehearsal and community spaces. I believe it's our duty to examine all potential resources with a critical eye, not only for their potential pedagogical value, but also toward greater inclusivity and representation and accessibility. For example, some songbooks may have non-programmable literature sitting alongside many tunes that meet EDIA criteria. I suggest moving forward with due diligence as you explore the range of available options, whether print or electronic. There are a number of ukulele method books available. I don't have a ton of experience in this area because the nature of the group that I'm working with isn't using these kinds of resources. However, I did do some exploring and asking around, and there are 4 method books that I came across that I thought might be of use or help to you as you explore. The Complete Ukulele Method by Greg Horn and Shanna Eisenberg, edited by Daniel Ho through Alfred, is an option with multiple levels. Hal Leonard has the Ukulele Method by Lil Rev, again, multiple levels. There is another set of resources through Alfred called Basic Ukulele Method by Ron Manis and L.C. Harnsberger. And finally, there are the Essential Elements by Marty Gross. So plenty to consider, plenty to review, plenty to look at that might serve as the resource or part of a suite of resources that you're planning to use and integrate into your ukulele use. In terms of songbooks and collections, I suggest you start taking a look with Jim Bailoff, also known as Jumpin' Jim. And there are so many different options available in this series. There are a suite of songbooks that are focused on different themes. For example, there's a Tips and Tunes, a beginner's method songbook. There's the Ukulele Island, another one called Ukulele Beach Party, 60s Ukin, Camp Ukulele, etc., etc. And so there's a huge suite of books for you to take a look at. In terms of a larger collection, there is the Daily Ukulele, so 365 songs for better living. And there are baritone and to-go editions available for this collection. There's also the Daily Ukulele Leap Year edition with 366 songs for better living. And again, baritone edition is available for this particular songbook. The ukulele fretboard roadmaps, the essential patterns that all the pros know and use. This is Jim Bailoff in collaboration with Fred Sokolow. It's worth taking a look at as well. Hal Leonard has a large collection called the Ultimate Ukulele Fakebook, over 400 songs to strum and sing. And then there are homegrown, context-specific texts that you might start exploring. An example of this is an old classmate of mine, Keith Pender, and he's put together a set of traditional folk songs of Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's a lovely collection, and I'm sure there are other folks out there who are pulling together their own adaptations and arrangements of songs. So happy exploring. One of the great ways to learn about ukulele and its history and its use in classrooms and in communities is by reading about what others have done and their stories and their suggestions and so on and so forth. So there are a number of books that have been written about the ukulele, and this is not an all-inclusive list, but a couple to get you started. One is called Uke Can Do It, Developing Your School Ukulele Program by Paul Tamburino. Ukulele, the World's Friendliest Instrument by Daniel Dixon. And The Ukulele, A History by Jim Truckwanata and John King. In addition to these books, there are articles and journals, and I put this under print materials, although they really should perhaps occupy the space in between because many of them are in digital form now. But the International Journal of Community Music, General Music Today, Music Education Research, International Journal of Music Education, Music Educators Journal, Journal of Popular Music Education, and of course, a variety of theses and dissertations. These are great sources of material and research that is worthy of consideration as you're building your program. Some of these things are addressing the why, some are the how-to, many are case studies, so you can get a taste of what folks might be doing here in Canada and certainly around the globe. The ukulele has become quite the global phenomenon. And when I did a quick search on Google Scholar, I came up with just shy of 17,000 hits just with the word ukulele. So it is being discussed, and I invite you to take a look and explore. Switching gears to electronic resources, one of the first things I suggest you do is seek out a copy of a documentary called The Mighty Uke by Tony Coleman and Margaret Meager. It is fantastic. It is a story about the ukulele, its roots from Portugal, its journey to Hawaii, and this little instrument that captured the hearts and imagination of so many people. With the rise of in popularity and really a near loss to obscurity, there has been this incredible resurgence and interest and acceptance of the ukulele that it is more than a toy, and it now travels in the hands of people of all ages around the world. There is a really strong Canadian connection that I learned through this documentary as well. It explores the Langley Ukulele Ensemble program out in Langley, British Columbia, and it follows Peter Luongo and his students, and the work that they do, the travels that they've done together, performances they've given, learning that they've done and achieved together. And the system that they use is rooted in the J. Chalmers Doan method. And Chalmers was involved with the Halifax School Board and developed a method and a system that incorporated the ukulele in music classes. And so we have these Canadian connections from coast to coast. And then one of the amazing players that came out of this program, James Hill, is featured in the documentary as well. And it's so nice to see some Canadian content and connections, and to understand that there is a lengthy history of the ukulele here in Canada. YouTube is an incredible resource for ukulele enthusiasts. There are so many videos available. It's incredible. I'm finding new things all the time. One of the first things that I found when I was exploring YouTube and what it had to offer, specifically to ukulele, are the variety of intro getting started lessons that are available. And you have to sort of pick through them, but then you start seeing patterns and you start seeing familiar faces coming up. And there are a number of individuals that have sort of hit the top list of ukulele facilitators and guides and teachers through YouTube. They include Cynthia Lynn, Bernadette Teaches Music, One Music School, Andy Guitar, 10 Thumbs Productions, Elise Eklund, You Can Uke, The Ukulele Teacher, and Ukulele Zen. And while I was trying to learn myself as, new to ukulele, and at the same time facilitate experience for others, these videos and the set of resource really came in handy as I was thinking through how to get things started and what would be logical steps in developing a fun and interesting and engaging program for people who are coming in with across a variety levels of experience, most with no ukulele experience, some with no music making experience at all. So trying to navigate that, a lot of these videos and this work really came in handy. There are also, out of these videos and others, there are some that are specific to different kinds of technique that we use in playing the ukulele. The first is strumming. The first thing we tend to do is to go for the thumb, but there are better ways to strum on the ukulele, and there are some great people out there who can explain why. I've also looked at videos to better understand chucking, finger picking, and muting. And that's about where I'm at this point. So I'm sure there are other videos that will come in handy as I continue to move forward in my own learning, as well as for those I'm interacting with weekly in our ukulele sessions. A really cool channel that you can subscribe to is called Ukuleleans. And this is the not the only, but one of the perhaps dominant channels that appears when you go to search ukulele play-alongs. And there's an incredible number of songs across different genres, different decades, and at different levels, from beginner, novice, sort of mid-advanced. They're all labeled as such, so that's really helpful. And there are even chord progression exercises to help people as they're learning to switch between different chords. But they're fun, they're engaging, they're visually appealing, and there's something there for everyone of every musical taste. And the last thing I'll say about YouTube is, as this service, anybody can upload videos. So there are international connections to be made. Of course, we have our domestic groups, and I certainly suggest you explore those, but there are ukulele groups everywhere. And some go and post their work through YouTube. Some of these are jam sessions, some are more formal concert type settings. Some are in pubs, some are in concert halls. There's just such an incredible range, and it's a great resource to be able to go in and listen to different ukulele ensembles and groups and professionals, and get some inspiration and motivation to keep at it. It's a great resource. There are some websites that I've found along the way in all of the searching that I've done for ukulele resources and tips and tricks and how-tos and whys and all of those kinds of things. And some that I found to be incredibly useful when getting started include ukulelescales.com, which also connects you to uke-tuner.com and learnplayuke.com. In terms of the scale piece of the puzzle, it's super easy to use. You can go in and select the key of your choice. You can then select the scale or mode of your choice, and then your tuning option depending on what kind of ukulele you're playing. And that then takes you to the diagram and chart of the fretboard. It provides you with notation, the tab, and the position options for the scale that you're looking at playing. Ukulele-chords.com is similar in that you can select your key, your chord type, and again, your tuning choice. You get sent to a diagram and chart, a photo of the finger placement and hand position, alternative positions, the arpeggio, and it also includes a recording of the chord, both picked and strummed. So you can hear whether or not you're playing the chord that you're seeing. There are a huge number of free tab sites. There are so many. I'm not going to name them all here, but a couple that I have frequented, ukuleletabs.com. It's a free curated song archive, and it also includes some tips and guides that can be really helpful. There is another site that a friend shared with me, and it's Ken Middleton's website and free tabs. There's some lovely folk songs, some that will be familiar, and maybe others that aren't, but it's really well put together. It's easy to navigate, and it's a great starting place, especially if you're starting to get into sort of fingerstyle ukulele. And just recently, I found an incredible collection of songs. It's through Jim's Ukulele and Guitar Songbook. And when I opened it up, I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing, but the table of contents is over 30 pages. And there are more than 3,200 pages in the book, and it continues to grow. The titles are linked to song sheets, and where possible, there's also a link that takes you back to YouTube where you can hear the recordings by the artists who recorded and or wrote the songs in the first place. The songbook is available for standard and baritone tuning, and also available for left-hand options. As I'm sure you can well appreciate, listening to artists is one of the greatest ways to learn. And there are many, many fine ukulele players and performing artists around the world. And in my searching, I have come across quite a number, and some I've seen more frequently than others, but I've assembled a list for you to consider and to explore. Jake Shimabukuro, who is a Hawaiian ukulele player. He has an international performing career, and you may have come across him if you were following any of the TED Talks. He did an incredible cover of Bohemian Rhapsody on ukulele. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go take a listen. He also has a series of YouTube tutorials, and he recently started as part of the Masterclass series. And the YouTube tutorials are free. The Masterclass series does require a subscription, but those are certainly some options that he has on offer. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned Israel Kamakave'Ole, and you probably know him best for his incredible cover and arrangement of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And that song has appeared in so many different places, movies, television, advertisements, so on and so forth. And it is a real gift for us. He does, however, have 4 studio albums and 4 compilation albums that came after his death at the very young age of 38. There is also a songbook called IZ, the ukulele songbook, and you'll find some of his music there. James Hill, Canadian, I'd mentioned earlier from the Mighty Uke. He has a great resource through the Jumpin' Jim's collection called Duets for One. And he also has a podcast called Uketropolis. If you go to his website, you'll find some of these details. There on that website, you'll also find the Ukulele Way for individuals, Ukulele in the Classroom for schools, and James Hill Ukulele Initiative, which is his teacher certification program. So there are a number of options and possibilities there for you. The Ukulele in the Classroom site is worth taking time to look at. This is James Hill in collaboration with J. Chalmers Doan, who I'd mentioned earlier. And there's some really great tools and really great ideas there if you're just getting started and thinking about incorporating the ukulele into your own classroom. Of course, the ukulele is used quite often in popular music. Grace VanderWaal, Mandy Harvey, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, and a Canadian rock band called Walk Off the Earth. And you'll find many more as you do your exploring, but these are a great group to go in again through YouTube and take a look at how they have used and incorporated ukulele into their artistry. And finally, the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. They are so much fun to watch and to listen to. They do performances in large concert halls that are sold out. They were actually scheduled to perform in Toronto in 2020. Unfortunately, the pandemic, of course, hit, and they were not unable to come, but I do believe it's been rescheduled. So who knows? There might be some extra dates if any of you either live or have plans to come to Toronto. But they're just simply fantastic. And during the pandemic, they actually put together the ukulele lockdown tutorials and song sheets, and those are still available on their website. And so in addition to seeing them in performance through their video series, you actually get to know the different members of the group a little bit more as they lead you through different kinds of songs and tutorials to share their love of the ukulele. There are a growing number of community ukulele groups popping up here in Canada, and still an opportunity to create more. The instrument is very accessible, not only in terms of expense, but in terms of getting started. A handful of chords with an interest to give it a go, and success. You can dive in and play with others in a short period of time. These groups also provide great opportunities for social engagement. Pre-pandemic, discussions were already well underway regarding the concerns related to loneliness and social isolation in our communities. And while research has yet to emerge, I can only imagine how the pandemic has exacerbated many of these challenges. Mounting evidence suggests that music making with others may be a way to counter these challenges, and I count ukulele groups, among others, as sites for positive engagement and social activity. Youth groups have sprung up across the globe at different age levels, including youth, adult, and intergenerational ensembles and clubs, activities, performance interests, musical styles and genres, and levels. Some common features I've noticed include an open door policy, anyone and everyone is welcome, a focus on fun and enjoyment, a sense of community, and a willingness to share resources. This latter point came in handy for me in the early stages when I was exploring what was on offer. And a number of groups posted their own songbooks. So for example, I was quite taken with the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain's cover of Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads. I know it doesn't sound like a ukulele tune, but it's awesome. You have to check it out. When I searched for Psycho Killer Ukulele on YouTube, a number of additional performances and tutorials popped up, including a pub session called Ukulele Tuesday. It's a uke jam that takes place every Tuesday upstairs at the Stag's Head in Dublin. The facilitator played a bass, and a cajon player was in the mix alongside about 25 to 30 adults, playing and singing to their heart's content, pints of Guinness and songbooks on the tables in front of them. It was just pure joy to watch and listen to them play together. And as you make your own ukulele plans, I encourage you to investigate and perhaps map the ukulele players and groups in your region and count them among the resources available to you. If none are available, then perhaps you've just found a new music making opportunity to put on offer that might bring a smile to folks in your community. So to wrap things up, we've taken a look at the ukulele, the instrument itself. We've taken a look at the print resources, the electronic resources, and the community resources that may be available to us. And when I'm thinking about my own next steps, I reflect on where I started not even 3 years ago and how far we've come in such a short period of time. The number of people that I've had the good fortune of engaging with and working with and playing with the last few years, getting to know them, their stories, and just watching the pure joy of making music with one another through this little instrument called the ukulele. I will continue to facilitate weekly sessions. When we get back to playing in person, hopefully we're going to have a lot of the people who joined us before come back to us, and we'll have new people coming in, and likely will be forming a second group because the first group was getting pretty full. I also hope to be able to get out into the community myself and perhaps play along with some other groups, just as me individually, going out and learning from others and meeting other people through music making. We have a large-scale festival that happens on our campus each year. It's called Art Side Out. I've already led some workshops for that group, and bringing the ukuleles out for anybody to try and experiment with is always fun, and I will continue doing that, whether virtually or in person. And I will continue to engage with my campus community, the students. I've led a number of de-stressor events that have gone over quite well. I've also gone into faculty and staff meetings and brought in ukuleles for either icebreakers or getting to know each other a little bit better, or de-stressors for them as well. And all of these things just make me so happy. It's something that I can offer. It's something that I can that I know will bring great joy to the folks who get involved. So I'll continue doing those things, and I extend an invitation to you. Right now, all of my sessions are virtual, and you are more than welcome to come in, check it out. Ask questions. Please count me as among your resources. My door, whether virtual or in person, is always open, and I'm always happy to connect and talk about ukulele and music making and community music and all of these wonderful things. I encourage you to take some time and enjoy the journey of exploring the ukulele. And I hope that whatever space or in whatever ways you're planning to bring the uke, that you too are getting just as much enjoyment and fulfillment out of it as you are providing for those who are in front of you. So thanks everybody for coming out, and happy uking.